Good evening and welcome to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with psychic medium Stephanie Burke, which let me turn on your microphone.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Now you can talk. And also we have a special guest in the studio tonight joining us. We have our good friend Christina Ottman, who is here with us. You know, can you believe that this is the first time that she's ever been in the Spooky Studio?
I find that hard to believe because I think I've known her for at least 10 years now.
Oh my God, yes. I know. I never came down, no.
We're just going to have you talk a little bit closer to the microphone.
Talk a little bit closer.
Not your fault. It's the microphone's fault. But yeah, I mean, it's really, I can't believe it's been this long and for you to come here and visit. And of course, we picked the time that we're not allowed to let anybody from the outside world into the station.
Oh.
To have you come and be a guest.
Well, that's me. Breaking the rules.
They basically, they put out an email saying, unless somebody's an employee, and don't let them into the building. I was like, well, that kind of messes up Spooky South Coast a little bit. But
technically, I'm not an employee.
Right. Yeah, because you're not supposed to be here. Moniz isn't supposed to be here. He probably invented the coronavirus, so...
I think I rank higher than Moniz.
Well, what they said is...
I've shown up more.
They said if it's an interview that can be done over the phone, it's better to do it over the phone. But, obviously that VIPs can still come into the studio, so... VIPs.
Well, thank you.
Yay.
So it takes care of it. Well, we're here to talk about the paranormal as we do each and every Saturday night. Well, most Saturday nights. We were off last week because I was at the Oliver House.
Yes, you were.
Surprisingly quiet night at the Oliver House. But I think part of that might have been a lot of the people that were there kind of gave up on investigating during the night, which I thought was weird.
I get crowds like that sometimes too. Like they get tired and they go home early. Like late night investigating is not what it used to be. And I'm getting old, so it works out for me too.
Yeah, I mean, we had some great conversations. We were talking about some different stuff, some different places that we've been, and some different things that had happened to us. But, we started off the night with some really cool shadow people activity happening in the basement, which, that's what I love to do now.
We've been there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That shadow stuff down there is pretty cool.
I love to start there because it gives you a chance to go to the quietest place of the house. And also, like, people always say, well, why do you always start in the basement? Well, because if you just give me a heads up, I'll pot that down.
It was very unexpected.
Okay.
It's not coronavirus.
You don't know that. There's no
do.
test yet. You don't have a test yet.
I had a test at 4 years old for asthma, and I passed it with flying colors, so that's the problem.
You're just assuming?
Oh, no, I know it's allergies and asthma.
So we'll get into some coronavirus talk tonight, too.
And you made me laugh so hard that now...
Oh, see.
Well, that's what I do.
Now I cough.
You should hear the whole audience right now. They're all like coughing up a lung right now because I'm so funny. But the reason why I like to start in the basement of any location too is because that's where most of the noises come from.
You think so?
So like the heater coming on,
okay,
the water heater coming on, like all that stuff. Like I mean the natural noise. I should have specified. I mean the natural noises that will happen throughout the course of the night.
Right.
That's where they'll originate from. So if you take people down there and they can kind of get used to that, then when you go back upstairs and you're on the second floor later and you feel, what was that? The floor vibrated. Oh, no, wait, that was just the hot water heater coming on. So things like that are helpful, but also it helps you tune into the house and kind of tune into some of the energy there too, especially at the Oliver House.
Yeah, the Oliver House basement was pretty cool the time we went down. And just the fact that you're kind of like locked in there because the floor closes.
Creepy.
Yeah, it closes in on you. You're like...
If somebody stood there, you'd be trapped.
I always...
It's okay.
I'm claustrophobic.
I tell the story too of the time that I was there a couple of times ago. And, because when we start off there, we tell everybody, come downstairs. If you don't want to do this experiment, don't come down because, like, if you're somebody that can't go 30 seconds without turning on your phone, don't come downstairs.
Yeah.
Because we need to sit in the dark and get used to it. And the minute you turn on your phone, you screw everything. And poor Anna. Anna comes, to all these events.
Yep.
And I always have to yell at her, Anna, no voice recorder right now. Unless you put some tape over the red light or something.
Right.
Because, she's always running her recorder when she gets great stuff for it. But it's just in this particular experiment, we need it to be as pitch black as it can. And so it's always pretty tough to have to tell somebody, you can't use that piece of equipment that you want to use. But in order for this to work, we need total darkness. So I tell everybody, if you don't want to be down there and do this, you don't have to come down. And, it's only going to be 20, 30 minutes out of the night. So if you want to do it, take part. If you don't, no hard feelings. And for the most part, there's always a couple of people that stay behind and say, I don't want to do that. Or maybe if you're all down there, that's my chance to be alone upstairs, whatever. So what we do is we go down there. They close that. So when you go down this into this basement, for anybody that's never been there, you go down this narrow staircase, and there's a pulley system with a, for lack of a better, I don't know what the actual technical term would be, but it's almost like it covers the stairs so that they can, because there's a storage area off to the side. So it drops that cover so that you can walk on it and go into that storage area. So when we're down there, they'll close that so that we're closed inside the basement. Now, it's not for anybody that's immediately worried about safety issues. There's an outside door in the basement. You can go outside. So you're not totally
creepy.
locked in. It is still creepy though. And so the problem is when every time somebody wants to go down there, they have to turn the lights on. They have to pull that thing up and turn the lights on so that a person can walk down the stairs. And it gets annoying when you say to everybody, we told you to come down if you wanted to come down, and you didn't come down. You can't decide now in the middle, so that we have to open up the door, pull up that cover, turn on the light so that you can walk down the stairs, or you have a flashlight or what have you. But still, now we all have to get readjusted to the dark again when we're trying to watch for these shadow people that show up. And it's not just shadow people. Were you there when we had the weird bar of light that showed up in the middle of the basement?
I don't think it was the bar. I think it was just the shadows and the noises. We were getting noises.
We get a lot of that, but this one particular night we had a bar, looked like an LED light bulb, maybe about 3 feet high, 3 feet long, but it was vertical, and it just appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the room, moved about 3 or 4 feet to the left, and then disappeared. So very strange. No way to explain how it happened. But anyway, so this is why we're trying to get used to the dark. What happened was somebody turned on the light, didn't hear the cover open, the thing that covers over the staircase, didn't hear that open, but the light turned on, or maybe it was a flashlight, I don't know if I remember, and a pair of legs started walking down the stairs, and I started yelling, I told you, up or down, now we have to all get readjusted, and the legs came down, got till there was about 3 steps left before the basement floor, and then disappeared.
Okay.
That's my everyday life.
So,
I
but you usually see them as full people,
yeah, I can.
Not just legs.
Sometimes I've seen just legs. Sometimes I've seen, just torso up. It just depends on what the spirit is, what they're trying to convey to people. If it's somebody that got their legs chopped off, I might see them without them, something like that.
Right, I could understand that.
So it can happen. It just depends. But my everyday life is phenomena like that. I wake up in the middle of the night and I have people standing in my bedroom staring at me. The other night I was on the phone. It was very late, and later than I'm normally awake and have lights on and everything. And my bedroom door slammed shut. Just slammed shut.
Somebody wanted your attention.
I was like, well, hello. I open it up. I'm like, is it my cat? I look, both my cats are staring at me like, Mom. So it was interesting.
The thing about the Oliver House too is that, Christy and her team are there all the time, so they can feel, they have a good sense of when stuff is going to be active. And they seem to think that it was going to be an active night, but it turned out that it wasn't so much.
Had they had that experience before down in the basement where they saw legs?
No, nobody else did, as far as I know. But they always have me tell the story too of the time that the picture came off the wall, which was a pretty good experience too.
Right. That was all your fault.
It wasn't my fault. Peggy's the one that hung the photo up, and they don't like it. They didn't like the picture. So
I did not like the picture.
Now it's hanging up in a different spot in the house, and it's never had a problem. But it was just on that one particular wall.
Right.
So, and kind of funny that, well, I guess now I'll have to tell the story since I mentioned it for those who don't know. But Len and Peggy are some of our friends, and they're two of the volunteers at the Oliver House. And by the way, for anybody that is listening, the Oliver House is in Middleborough, and it is tied into the American Revolution. It was owned by a loyalist family. I will not spoil the history for you so that you can go there and find out the history from everybody that is well versed in it there. But it ties into Benjamin Franklin and the American Revolution, and it's worth going, even if you just go there during the day for one of the many things that they do. If you're not a ghost person, it's worth going to check out because they have done so much great work, and it's really been the paranormal world that has helped refurbish that place. You know, when we first started going there, it needed a lot of work. It didn't have running water. There were no indoor bathrooms. You had to go into a porta-john outside, which is okay, you know, in the summer, but not so much fun in October, November, December. But the work that they have done there in running these ghost tours that Christy's put her heart and soul into, they've really been able to make a big difference there. And so Len and Peggy are two of the volunteers. Peggy had received a picture. I shouldn't say a photo. It's not a photo. It was like a painting type thing. But she had received that from somebody, and she said, oh, that will look good in the Oliver House. It fits in with the decor and the aesthetic of the Oliver House. So she went earlier that day, and she hung it on the wall. All night long, we investigated. Had a pretty good crowd that night. It was a big night. You know, they probably had 40 people in the house, which I think is like what they max out at. So everybody going up and down the stairs, opening and closing the door, stomping around, all that kind of stuff. This thing never moved. Well, after everybody had gone home, all the guests had gone home and were cleaning up and putting everything back together and just kind of hanging around talking, all of a sudden we heard this smash. And I thought Paul, who was one of the other investigators there, he was walking around with his homemade SLS system. And so I thought he had dropped that because it came from the other room and it was a smash. So that was my first thought is that's a laptop breaking. And so I said, Paul, are you all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. He was standing right next to me, but it was dark, so I couldn't see him. It's like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't you. So we go over there in the room, and this picture that Peggy had hung up was on the floor. The glass smashed into pieces. It had taken down a clay pot that was on the mantle with it, too.
Oh, my gosh.
And, which was weird enough, because if the picture came down, like it would have had to have come straight down to hit this pot, because it was right underneath it. Otherwise, if it just fell off, it should just go down. But instead, it would have had to have come down. So I'm like, well, maybe the nail bent or broke or something happened. So we go and we look at the back of the painting, the picture frame, and it is one of those sawtooth, hangers that you do. And then we looked at the nail on the wall that it was put in, and the nail was pointing up at a 45-degree angle. And Peggy said that's how she had hung it. The angle of the nail is 45 degrees, and those claw teeth caught onto the nail, which means in order for this thing to have fallen off, something had to get underneath it and flip it. And now if something came underneath it and flipped it, it's probably not going to hit that pot that's underneath it. So that means something knocked the pot off too. So very interesting that happened, after everything had, it was a pretty active night that night too. It might have actually been the same night as the legs and the bar of light, but still, it's the stories that they tell of stuff that happens there even after the events is always fascinating. Christy sent me an EVP she caught a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, where she left her recorder in the closet, the Ben Franklin closet, for those who are in the know, and you can hear footsteps. So you can hear her. She's walking in another part of the house. You can hear her far away talking. She was the only one in the house. You can hear her going around, and then you hear footsteps in the closet right next to the recorder, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So definitely worth getting out there and checking out for anybody that hasn't. They run different events all year long. They have both professional pro nights, they call them, if you're somebody that has experience with paranormal investigation. They have amateur nights. If you're somebody who has never done it before and you want to try it for the first time, they can accommodate you either way. Although this pro night was, half filled with amateurs. So it's not like it's a requirement one way or the other. If,
right.
If the date works for you, you can just go when the date works for you. And then you get to go there and look around and see all the things that the money that you pay goes into. So after the whole event was over, like Christy talked to me about the money that it takes just to operate the house every year to keep it open. And so they have to have like a base level of things happen there just for that. because it's owned by the town of Middleborough. So they're not, but they also don't want to sink money into it. You know, they were, I think at one point they were ready
They were
to
trying to
just get
offload
rid of
it,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So they were willing to relinquish their rights to it and sell it to somebody else. And you know what would have happened if they sold it is it would have gotten torn down. Nobody's going to take a 250-year-old house and,
Right.
you know, spend the time to refurbish it. They're going to knock it down because it's a pretty prime piece of land. And I don't know what the zoning is for it there, but it's right next to Route 44. So you
On
got
a
to
corner
think,
lot.
yeah, you got to think every McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, everything would be all over that spot, which it has a beautiful, you know, backyard area, and it goes into the woods, and there's a path. Like the land that it's on is fantastic, but
Right.
I mean, there's enough land there that they could probably put a CVS, a Rite Aid,
That would be so sad.
maybe even a
Yes.
Walmart, you know, with how much land they have there. And the KOA campground's right across the street. So you're going to think maybe they'd have their eye on it because they could expand and have, you know,
Right.
both sides of the road. So the fact that they were able to, you know, keep it and make it worthwhile for the town to hold on to it is it's a testament to them.
It's beautiful. I mean, some of the pictures that I've just recently seen, I'm not sure who took them, but they're just gorgeous.
Just need you to go a little closer. Sorry, I'm going to keep reminding you the whole time.
They're gorgeous. I mean, they've done so much work, and they just put so much into it. But even the staging is amazing. So
Right now, the shutters are out getting redone.
I heard that was happening. Yep.
So those will be back on, and she was telling me about some of the other plans. So if you're a history buff, you have to go check it out. I mean, Barry Richard, who hosts the show here weekdays, you know, he's not a paranormal guy, but he's a huge history fan. And I was telling him about the Oliver House one day, so he went out in there and checked it out, and he said, I had no idea it was there. It's such an awesome thing to have, like right in our own backyard. So absolutely check it out if you have an opportunity. So Lamone sent me this photo.
I
and-
told him I didn't want to see it.
Yeah, and he wants me to look at it while we're on the air.
He said it's your sugar mama.
I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if this is something
I remember
that
the last one he sent, and that makes me afraid to look at this one.
well, while you're looking for that picture, what I do want to say of the Oliver House is when I realized that Tim could talk you into any small space with 20 people.
Yep.
Like literally, we were in the basement, but we were in behind that big, what was it, the AC unit or something. He had like 15 of us stuck behind there, and we're going, do we realize how close we are to people we don't know? Right?
Yes.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do that now with the coronavirus, but that's the Underground Railroad section. So you know everybody wants to go over there and find out about it. We could have done it in shifts, but everybody just runs over when you
But
start
I'm just
talking
saying,
about
you
it.
can talk any of us into going into the smallest
You-
space.
you know-
Tim wants you to go, sure.
I'll have to show you the pictures that I took of the room that is in my house that they used to put the slaves in during the Underground Railroad. I think the last time we talked about it, I told you I'd never been inside. I finally climbed in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I took photos. So
Did you pick up on anything while you were in there?
I went in and out as fast as possible because, you know, bugs. Bugs are a thing.
Bugs are-
But it was very interesting. It felt very different than the rest of the house. Almost like totally like untouched, you know.
Hope you didn't unleash anything then.
I could have.
I was thinking bugs.
I could have.
Well, I mean, we investigated. Stephanie and I investigated a restaurant in downtown New Bedford, which I won't talk about right now. I won't say the name, but we went all through, and there was all kinds of tight spaces down there. But
Right.
I think my gold star moment, like star on the forehead of good job, Tim. You got people to go into this area.
job,
was when we were back in the day when we can investigate Battery Milliken. Please don't go into Battery Milliken at Fort Tabor.
Right. Illegal.
They will prosecute. They will find you. But we used to have permission to conduct events there and investigations. And you've been there, right?
No,
with us?
that was one of the events I couldn't go to.
Oh, now they're gonna have to rescind
We did it twice.
the
You didn't
ban.
go either time?
I think we did it more than that. I think we did it
Well-
like 3 or 4 times.
No, we
Well, we did 2
3
nights
times.
for the station,
right.
but I think we did it at least twice separate.
There was
as
twice
legend
that I
trips.
went, and there was the third time that I wasn't there that we don't talk about.
But I think there might have been even another time.
I don't know.
The in Battery Milliken, there's this one section where it's probably about 2 feet wide, and I would get everybody to go into that area and just walk down. Like you can't investigate in there. You can't even like hold up a device as you're walking. Really, you have to put your back against the wall and kind of shimmy down this area. But for some reason, we would get everybody to go into it, and
I feel like I told you no to that.
nothing happened.
I know, but I feel like I was definitely the rebel.
Oh, that you just said you weren't going to do it?
Yeah.
because you're afraid to get dirty.
I'm not afraid to get dirty. I don't want spiders in my hair.
Well,
I think that's
there's-
understandable for anyone.
There's probably spiders in there. But yeah, if you're on an investigation and you're not getting into like tight confined spaces, you're missing out.
Right.
Although some people I understand are claustrophobic. So
I'm definitely claustrophobic. There was that time in Battery Milliken where we went with Kristen and you decided to go lights out completely and no amount of flashlight in that place anyways. You could go in there with the highest powered flashlight that you have and shine it
Which
down
I
that
do.
hallway and you still can't see anything. It's that dark in there. And you went lights out in that teeny tiny confined space and I thought for sure I was going to poop my pants because I hate the dark. And your poor son, who was 10 at the time,
probably, yeah.
like all I felt was this little hand go into mine. I was like, oh, honey, it's
The-
okay. Your dad's mean.
The yeah, so I have what's it like a 700 lumen
It was something
flashlight.
ridiculous. Yeah.
And when you go into Battery Milliken and you shine it down, because it's like an H shape when you walk in, and when you shine it down the hallway, it's like the light goes maybe a few feet out in front of you and then it dies out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it should theoretically be powerful enough that you should see it at least go, further down, if not all the way down. But then, I don't know if you saw the Ghost Hunters episode that they filmed there.
Probably.
This was the last season of the original version.
Yes, because that was the episode I was on.
So it was, they were telling the story because, they did this thing where the producer reached out to me, got all of my stories. They talked to Stephanie. Stephanie was on TV. They, if I remember it, they didn't say that you were a psychic medium.
Yeah, they told me that it wouldn't fit with their narrative. And
So-
certain cast members didn't like psychics.
So they skipped over that part. But they asked me for like stories that I had. So I gave them a whole bunch of stories because I'm thinking this is great. They're going to feature New Bedford on Ghost Hunters. It's going to help, it'll help the military museum raise money. People are going to want to come in here and check it out. This is before the city said we couldn't go in there anymore. So there was all this excitement about, getting this spotlight on national TV to help out the military museum. And, I gave them all my stories and everything. And I expected, not that I care about being on television, but I expected that they would have me at least tell the stories on TV. Now, I don't like being on TV. I don't like seeing myself on TV.
Right, nobody
but
does.
I want to make sure that the stories get told correctly.
Right.
Because not that they don't tell them correctly, but the minute you go from somebody's personal account to somebody else recounting somebody's personal account, it just allows for there to be some discrepancy in the story. So I was very upset when they told me that they didn't need me to come and film. And I'm pretty sure it was because I was working for another
Oh.
show at the time.
You totally forget about the part where they wouldn't even tell you what TV show it was for. They lied to you and told you it was a new one. And you didn't find out that it was actually for Ghost Hunters until you gave them my name and number. And they called me and they said, well, we lied to Tim, but we're just going to tell you that this is for Ghost Hunters. And I immediately
Well,
called you.
Still,
Freaking out because I was like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I say yes to this or not? And my heart was definitely with the military museum because, it was near and dear to our hearts at the time. Those, the guys that were in tears telling us like, because of you and because of your event, we're able to keep the heat on all winter long.
right. They used to close down in the winters.
And they're
then
donation only. They have nothing, no funding from the state.
We did an event one year, and I think we handed them a check for like $2,000 or something,
Yep.
$2,500. And so they said, oh, now we can stay open all
Yep.
winter because now we can run the heat as opposed to having to wait to come back in the spring. So, and that's what we always did with Legend Trips events is we would say to them, it was Jeff's idea. He would say to them like, okay, we're going to give you a check, but please tell us what you're going to use it for so that we can go back to the group that came tonight and tell them exactly what it is that they're spending this money on.
Yeah, I was always the one that was explaining to my friends that I wanted to come with us. And this is
Right.
what they do. I mean, literally what we're giving to them, they're giving back
Right.
to the property that we're going to.
So the story comes out, the episode comes out, and I tuned in and watched it. To be honest, it was the first episode I'd watched in a long time.
That's just because my face was on it. You wanted to see it.
Well, I stopped watching paranormal shows when I was working on them.
I actually think Dave Francis told me that night that it was the first time he's watching it in like years, and it was only because my face was on it. So I appreciated that because he's a tough critic.
I look at it like I didn't want to be influenced in any of the storytelling that we were doing on the shows that I was working on. So I kind of tried to avoid it. But I watched that one, and they're telling the story about, they're like, oh, somebody saw the shimmering man at the end of this hallway. And like the shimmering man became like the whole focal point of the investigation. Like
I giggled every time I heard it.
They're trying to catch the shimmering man. I'm like, that was my story. I'm the one and it wasn't just me. We were the whole group of people, including Christy. So it was myself, Christy, Alicia, Frank and Cindy. I think we were all there together. And what happened was we were filming Jeff Belanger's PBS show, New England Legends. And we were doing an episode on Battery Milliken, but on Fort Taber in general, because I had that experience where we thought it was the roof caving in on us, the sound that we experienced, but
that was really
turned out to be what we think is phantom cannon fire. And we're there telling that story for New England Legends. So Jeff has to go film some stand-ups. He has to go do some intros and those kind of things. And so they say to us, we're going to go over here and go outside and film some stuff. And if you guys want to investigate while we're doing it, that's fine. So we're like, okay, fine. Free chance to investigate Battery Milliken. And in the daytime, which, usually we're only there at night. So
it was so creepy at night.
Because, it's in the daytime, it's a little bit easier to get around in there, but you still can't see anything. It's still dark as hell. So, but because it's that H shape, the two sides of the H are both open ends on both sides. So, well, not open, they're closed off, they're fenced off, but the sunlight is coming in. So when you're looking down that long, dark hallway now, you can see the sunlight coming in. So it's all dark in the middle, but the two ends are lit up. And so we just happen to be standing there looking down, and as we're standing there looking down, we see this figure. It's the shape of a man, probably about 6 feet tall, and moving around, walking around, not going just back and forth, but actually like kind of moving around in that area. And he was all shimmery. And it wasn't, there was no person there. You couldn't really make out, it was like a shadow person, only instead of absorbing all the light like a shadow person normally does in the dark, this was actually radiating some of the light that was coming down there in the daytime. So I called it kind of like the anti-shadow person. But this shimmery man, the best way I can describe it is if you've ever seen the Peter Gabriel video for Sledgehammer, at the end of that video, Peter Gabriel's sitting in a chair in a room where the whole room is painted black with stars, and he's painted black with stars on him, and he gets up and he walks out and he opens the door. That's what it looked like. It looked like this shimmery, like kind of outer space cosmos type thing. So yeah, so that was my experience, and with all those other people that I was with.
There's tons of shadow people in there anyways, because the nights that we would sit down there, and it's so creepy when you don't know what's coming up behind you. Like during the day, it's nice because you have the H shape and like the light at either ends of the tunnel. But when you're in the middle of the tunnel, it used to scare me so badly because you don't know. You can feel everything around you. But we would set up the laser grids, remember? And that's actually how I became friends with Amy Bruni. I found a milk crate in the middle of the tunnel, and I sat on it, and she wanted to sit down too. So we literally shared a milk crate. But we watched very clearly those shadow figures just block out the laser grid so perfectly. And sometimes it's matrixing of your eyes, sometimes it's like you're just tired and you're looking long enough, you could see full body apparitions just walking along the wall, and it was really creepy.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the most active places, and there's reasons for that. It's not just the history of it, but it's also the I don't want to say post-history because it's all history if it's happened in the past, but, after it was being used it was actually never used as a fort, really, but
it was attempted to.
Right. In the days after that, and since the city's owned it, it's had a little bit of a sordid history, and some of that sordid history plays a part in what you encounter there. But again, I want to remind everybody that you cannot go there. Do not go in there. And one of the things is we said to them, like, let us do a few more events so that we can raise enough money so we can shut it all down, like lock it all down with proper gates.
I think that's what it was. You were planning another one, and I was like, I'm definitely going. And then all of a sudden, you got from the town. You're like, yeah, we can't do it. I'm like,
so what? I got called before the park board, and I don't know if I've told this story on the show, but
I don't know. I don't know if you did.
I will.
You will?
Well, a little bit. I
Okay.
just got called before the park board, and they said they were very upset that I had never gone before them again for permission previously for permission. But everything was handled to the military museum, so I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so I guess, maybe they weren't fully informed about what was going on. So the head of the park board did say if the city solicitor's office, which is the legal representation of the city, if the city solicitor's office says it's okay, then we'll be okay with it. And the city solicitor happened to be there in that meeting, and they asked her, and she said no. So that was pretty much the end of that. They did try to work with us and say, you can still have your event, but you can only go into the fort itself, into Fort Rodman, and you can only go on the grass. So that would have not been a very good event. No. So we said no. We would not be able to do that. But, maybe we can try something sometime again where...
I miss it.
Maybe we can do something where we do the military museum and just go on and stay on the grass of the fort. Just... not charge what we normally charge, charge a little bit cheaper and just give all the money to the military museum just to help them out. But
right.
It's certainly, it's a shame because that could be something that could be just like the Oliver House where they could do it in perpetuity and it could keep raising money for the restorations because they need, I think it's just under $2 million to repair Fort Rodman itself.
Right.
So without even taking care of like the batteries or any of that, just to do the repairs they want to do on the roof of Fort Rodman would be almost $2 million because they need to go up there and there's all brush growing up there. Mm-hmm. So they need to clear out all that brush and then they need to reinforce that roof. And it was terrifying.
It was so scary.
I'm afraid of heights anyway, but so am I. That was not a good experience.
I remember just trying to get up the stairs and Tim's like pushing me up, like, go. I was like, I'm terrified. It's so scary. Because if you look at the fort, like right on the corner, you see this like little thing with windows.
It's a lighthouse.
And we had to like climb up into like these dusty, dirty, falling apart type like little room, and then you go up inside of it.
There was two different areas we had to climb into.
And Tim and I get up there, and you can literally see the entire city of New Bedford.
Wow.
It was actually like beautiful because it was all lit up at night, and like we were both standing there like in awe, like we weren't even talking to each other because of how pretty it was. But then we looked at each other like, we got to get down now, and are we going to be able to get down because it was that scary.
Yeah, I think it was a staircase in the second section, but it was a ladder to get to that area.
Right, it was a ladder, and that's when you're pushing me up. Like, you got to go up. And I was like my legs were freezing because I was so, terrified. The only other time that ever happened was my walk up and down St. Augustine Lighthouse. Like, Scott had to push me up and down because I was terrified. I literally, at one point, I was just carrying me down. It's that bad. I do not do well with heights. I still have pictures of us inside that thing, I think.
Yeah, we took a few photos up there. But they need to do a lot of work up there to be allowed to let anybody go up there.
There was sections of where you're supposed to walk just missing. Mm-hmm. If anybody to ever get up there, it's so dangerous.
And again, we had permission.
Right.
We were up there with permission. Right. So I'll tell you one funny story. I don't know if it was the day. Was it the day that we went to go check it out for the radio station event when we showed up and there was a worker from the city scrubbing
Yes.
Okay, yeah. There was. Yes. He's there scrubbing off the graffiti. No, painting over the graffiti.
Yeah, he was painting over it.
And I said to him, I said, this is a fool's errand if there ever was one. Because you're going to come in here and you're going to paint over the graffiti, and then because they don't have it properly closed off, then the next night somebody's going to come in there and spray paint it again. He goes, I don't know, man. I just do what they tell me.
Right. Like,
So the fact that they're going to spend the money on the paint and to have this employee be down there
just
doing
fix the fence.
just put in a hard metal fence.
Right.
But they don't. They keep putting chain link, and then they get surprised when people break through it and move in there and live there. I mean, that's why we tell people don't go there. First of all, you're trespassing, and it's illegal. But also, when you go in there, you're going to find people living in there, and it's a shame that. And listen, I've also advocated because they have the Sister Rose House in New Bedford, which is the overflow for the homeless shelters, and they don't have enough beds for all the homeless people that want them in the city. And I'm like, just let them go into Battery Milliken. It's warm. It's always 20 or 30 degrees warmer than it is outside in there, and they're already in there anyway.
right.
But whatever. So
Well,
yeah.
when Ghost Hunters filmed, there was kids partying in there, and they asked them to leave like while they were filming, and they wouldn't go. They refused, and they had to call the police, and like the police hauled them out of there.
When we did our
With a
radio
fight.
station event there, we were in between groups in Battery Milliken, and it was Wesley and myself. We were hanging out back there, and there might have been somebody else too, but we're hanging out back there, and so the groups leave, and they have to. It's a long walk from Battery Milliken back to the military museum, so we're waiting for the next group to come, and as we're standing there, there's a group of kids walking in, 4 guys and a girl. The girl was wearing a very like short dress and high heels, and I'm like, well, you shouldn't be coming in here because you're gonna go, trip over something, and
Right, because at times there's a lot of garbage in there because the people that go in.
plus there's holes in the ground.
Right, it's very dangerous.
There's all kinds of metal stuff that's out there. Like you forget it. There's no way you're getting through that in those heels. And then they're carrying a case of beer. And so as they're walking, and they're definitely not 21. And so as they're walking in, they start yelling at us like, "What are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be in here." And we're like, "You're not supposed to be in here either." And they start fighting with us. And Wesley, who was one of the tour guides for the military museum's like, "You don't understand. I work here. You're not supposed to be here." And they tried to fight him on it. They we always come here, right? Well, but you're not supposed to.
Right.
So
Actually, like my first story ever from Fort Rodman, Fort Tabor, which I actually think it's literally Fort Tabor.
no, it's Fort Rodman.
No, the
Oh, you mean
foundation
where the story
of
was
the
that you're
original was actually Fort Tabor.
Yeah, the spot. So anybody that's been there, if you haven't realized it, in front of Fort Rodman is the footprint of where Fort Tabor used to be.
Right, which is a much smaller footprint than what Fort Rodman is. But there's a playground. And a friend of mine lived right up the street. And we, in high school, everybody's underage drinking and hanging out, or just, we all took a walk down there at night. And everybody's just sitting on the playground, just chatting, very calm, just having a good time. Some friends were drinking. I was just kind of like on a swing. Like, I don't really like being down here because it's dark and I have an issue with history in the dark. And that's when I looked and I saw like 3 to 4 redcoats walking toward me. And I was like blinking really fast, hoping they were going to go away. And they wouldn't. They just kept coming. And at that point, I was like,
Did you fire? You fired once more, and the British kept it coming.
yes.
There wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago.
Right. Absolutely. It was really terrifying because I was in the middle of trying to hide everything about myself from my friends. It was probably like my senior year in high school. And I looked at one of my friends and I'm like, we got to go now. And I couldn't tell anybody why. It was really creepy. And I ran back to my car, which was at least a half a mile up the road in the dark by myself. And,
Yeah, because if you're there at night, the gate's locked, so you can't even park in the parking lot.
right. So we walked, and thank God it was warm out. And years later, I think I was sitting here. We were about to either do the radio show or come off the air. And my brother texted me and said, have you ever been to Fort Tabor at night? And I said, yeah, why? He's like, because I'm staring at a bunch of guys with red coats walking toward me. I was like, yeah, I experienced that about X amount of years ago. Get out now.
Leave now.
Right.
So we're going to be taking a break for the news coming up. When we come back on the other side, we'll take some phone calls, 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. We have some other stuff to discuss as well. And so the photo that Lamone sent me, so it's he's been waiting weeks for this.
Okay.
Okay. Any man who marries my daughter gets $10 million, Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson's offering $10 million to anybody that will marry his daughter for money. And I think that...
It's a little odd.
I think that, you know...
Is she ugly?
He's trying to say that, like, I wouldn't want to marry her.
Okay.
And listen, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to marry her. Because she's Mike Tyson's daughter.
Right.
I don't want Mike Tyson as a father-in-law.
You don't?
As fun as it might be to hang out with him, like, I still don't believe that he has his anger issues under control.
I was going to say, don't make
Probably
him mad.
not.
So, can you imagine? And by the way, I'm getting $10 million of his money to do this. You don't think he's going to be like, hey, I gave you $10 million. You know what I mean? Like, so if he wants to come over for Thanksgiving, he's coming over for Thanksgiving.
What are the stipulations? Like,
Right,
how
there's
long
gonna
do
be
you
a
have to
contract,
yeah, where's the
right?
contract? How many years do you have to be married? You know.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna pass on that offer.
And why hasn't he taken the offer?
I know, Lamone, you're single, aren't you? You could do it. Plus, don't they live out your way? But anyway, so he's been waiting weeks to show me that, and let me just say that, with the exception of her,
Well, that
looks like
wouldn't
a
be a
perfectly
sugar
fine
mama.
woman.
That would be a sugar daddy because it's not her money; it's his.
Either way, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more Spooky South Coast.
New Bedford's News Talk Station 1420 WBSM New Bedford, streaming worldwide on the WBSM app and on WBSM.com.
We were on vacation when my 4-year-old son woke up with a very high fever. We were scared and we had to find an emergency room immediately. In an unfamiliar city in the middle of the night, we had no idea where to go.
1 in 5 children will visit an emergency room this year. But did you know that some ERs are more prepared for pediatric emergencies than others? But there is help. The new Find ER Now app will quickly locate the closest ER and show which are more likely to be prepared for your child.
It was a terrifying night for us, but because we already had the Find ER Now app, my son got the care he needed. Now, no matter where I am, I always feel prepared.
Whether at home or traveling, the Find ER Now app will have your family prepared in an emergency. To learn more or to download the app, text Find ER Now, that's FINDERNOW to 51555, or go to ourbabyfoundation.org. That's the letter R, babyfoundation.org.
Sweetie, want some fruit?
You have to use the right tool for the job. A power drill is the wrong tool to slice fruit. Just like an antibiotic is the wrong tool to treat viruses, including colds and flu. Antibiotics are only needed for certain bacterial infections. When they aren't needed, antibiotics won't help you, and the side effects could still hurt you. Ask your healthcare professional when an antibiotic is the right tool and when it's not. Visit cdc.gov/antibiotic-use.
WBSM.
When medical treatment no longer offers a cure, hospice can provide the care families need to honor their loved one's wish to remain at home. It is a privilege when a family chooses community nurse during this time. Our experienced and compassionate team offers support and guidance to our patients and families throughout and beyond this journey. We are here for you. The next best thing to family is Community Nurse. Visit us at communitynurse.com. That's communitynurse.com.
Paid for by Case Legal Media. Attention farmers and landscapers. Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or other forms of cancer after being exposed to weed killers such as Roundup? The manufacturers of these products failed to warn the public of potential cancer risks and hid the information as proprietary trade secrets since 1981. You may be entitled to significant compensation. Our network of attorneys are ready to fight for you. Call 800-684-9874 for your free legal consultation. Again, that's 800-684-9874.
Play slots at Tiverton Casino Hotel this March, and you could win your share of over $50,000 in free slot play during our $50K March Mania Free Play Sweepstakes. Earn entries now through March 28th and be here to win every Friday and Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m., where 6 winners every hour will be selected to win $250 in free slot play. Plus, you can win more than once each drawing day. So this March, roll in like a lion and out like a winner at Tiverton Casino Hotel.
Bailey Surf and Turf in Wareham has been chef-owned and operated for more than 30 years. When you stop in and explore their expansive menu, you'll find it filled with much more than just surf and turf. From fresh seafood delivered daily to mouth-watering prime rib, char-broiled ribs, Angus steaks, burgers, and so much more. Ask about hosting your next event in their function room. Visit Bailey Surf and Turf today at 3056 Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, or check them out at baileyswareham.com.
We are advocates.
We are defenders.
We are champions.
And friends.
We are the Association of Zoos and Aquariums.
230 accredited members employing thousands.
All dedicated to the care and conservation of Earth's precious wildlife.
Sea turtles.
African penguins.
California condors.
Cheetahs.
And countless endangered species that are close to extinction.
See for yourself at aza.org/join us.
Or at an AZA accredited zoo and aquarium today.
Hey, Greg, I'm so sorry to hear about your brother's heart attack.
Thanks. He's okay now, but it really got me thinking about my family. You know, could my wife still pay our mortgage if I had a heart problem? Or could my kids still go to college?
Man, that is really scary. You should call my life insurance agent at Health IQ. When I got life insurance for my family last year, they saved me 41% versus any other company I looked at.
41%? That's huge.
Yep. Health IQ starts by shopping everyone with the top 30 life insurance carriers to make sure they can get the lowest retail rate. Then they apply their exclusive Healthy Lifestyle Savings, which can save you up to 41%. I literally got $1 million in coverage for my family for just $36 a month.
Just $36 a month?
Yep. You should check it out at healthiq.com/easy.
To save that much money, I'm going to call them right now. What's that link again? healthiq.com/easy?
Yep, healthiq.com/easy.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And, with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
I spend a lot of time in the garage, but even more time in the rain, sleet, and mud. In '95, I helped tow your moving trailer. In '05, I helped you get out of a ditch. Yeah, I know I'm a bit rusty, and sadly in '09, it was sparks from me, your handy chains, dragging behind your truck that accidentally started a wildfire.
Sparks from dragging chains can start a wildfire. Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm gonna take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Would you like to save or invest for your future? Save or invest for your retirement? Save for your children's education? Call Jose Matos, 508-678-3715 of Advanced Financial Group at 725 State Road in Westport, Mass. As a financial consultant since 1989, I have experience in setting up 401ks, IRAs, and annuities for a variety of my clientele.
Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member NASD, SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Imagine being denied an apartment because of your religion, or your race, or because you have children, or a disability.
It's so wrong.
Yes, but who has the power to stop this?
You do. Each of us has the power. The law is on your side. It's illegal for landlords to discriminate because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. If you suspect that you have experienced housing discrimination, file a complaint with HUD immediately so we can investigate it. Fair housing is your right.
Use it.
To learn more, visit hud.gov/fair housing. That's hud.gov/fair housing. Or call 1-800-669-9777. 1-800-669-9777. A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
As a parent, your life is your child.
With Luke, he's the whole world, you know?
He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and it just rips your heart out. You feel completely helpless.
But when you come to St. Jude, that is a whole nother level of care.
You have cutting-edge scientific research here, doctors at the top of their game, and there's nothing but love in everything that they do.
I asked my wife, I was like, what is this going to cost us? And then we did a little bit of research, and then we realized that no family ever receives a bill.
St. Jude covers the cost of everything so that we could focus on our family. St. Jude gave our family the chance to be together. They saved our son's life, and we did not pay a cent. And that wouldn't have been possible without St. Jude.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
New Bedford's News Talk Station.
$1420 WBSM.
Just say the magic words.
Alexa, play WBSM.
And your wish is granted.
Welcome to 1420 WBSM.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with psychic medium Stephanie Burke and our special in-studio guest tonight, Christina Ottman. And Moniz is off tonight. He didn't tell me why. I don't think it's coronavirus.
You can never be so sure.
The coronavirus. See, that's a mistake that people keep making, is people keep saying coronavirus as if it's the proper name. The proper name is COVID-19.
COVID-19, yes.
It's a coronavirus, but you can say the coronavirus, but not just coronavirus. But I don't think he has that. And, you know, I'm not trying to make light of anything, but, you know, we got to stay sane, too. So making a few jokes helps with staying sane. Chrissy, you know, you work in pharmacy, right?
Yes, I work in pharmacy, and I deal with sick people all day. People come in with the flu, or they don't know what they have, so...
And you were saying you picked the best week to take for vacation.
Well, I guess I did. I didn't really plan it. I didn't realize it was going to get this crazy.
Or are you the reason why it's happening? And you said...
the reason why. I didn't know I had that much influence either.
Well, the it's gotten kind of nuts around here a little bit. Like going into all the stores, definitely no toilet paper. I was in Home Depot earlier today, which for a while, Home Depot and Lowe's were like the place to go to get your toilet paper.
Really?
Yeah, because they stock it there. They have it.
Yeah.
And they have tons of it, and nobody ever buys it from there.
Right.
So they had a whole bunch. So, on the radio, everybody was saying, if you can't find it at Walmart, can't find it at Target, can't find it at Stop & Shop, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's. So everybody went there and started buying it all up. I was in there to buy a rake. I needed a rake because my rake from last year was broken.
Because your bidet is not here yet.
We're going to get into the bidet. We're going to get into the bidet in a few minutes. But the rake, I needed a new rake. So I said, I'm going to go down to Home Depot. People aren't really going out shopping, so it won't be that bad to go to a Home Depot on a Saturday. Still wrong. I was wrong. There's definitely tons of people in Home Depot and, gross people. Not that I think, like, if I go into a store and there's gross people in the store that are not covering their mouth and they cough and all that stuff, I don't think I'm going to walk out of there getting the coronavirus. But now that you're paying attention to it, you do realize just how gross people are.
Yeah, Dave Francis was saying that the other night, and he's like, I never really watched people, and now I'm like watching everything they're doing.
So I went into Stop & Shop over here across from the radio station the other day to get lunch. And I've been going over there and walking, getting in some exercise when it's been nice. So when I walked over there, I was like, I got to use the restroom before I start shopping. So let me go into the men's room. By the way, if anybody's listening from the Stop & Shop in Fairhaven, I'm sorry to tell you, you have the grossest bathroom on the South Coast.
They all do.
It's really bad. I mean, like the Fairhaven Walmart, they try as hard as they can. And I know all these stores, they try to keep it clean. It's not their fault. It's just the people have no respect for the restroom that they're using. So I go into the trick in the Walmart in Fairhaven is you go to the bathroom in the back. People always forget that Walmarts have that second bathroom, at least the old design had that second bathroom.
Well, it's the original bathroom. They never had one up front until Target showed up.
That's where to go. That's where it's at. Although sometimes in certain places you go in there and somebody's doing something and they shouldn't, and I don't mean a number two. So
I feel like this is going to be the weirdest conversation going forward from here till the end.
It's going to get very weird, and it probably won't be paranormal.
Good thing I have cannolis.
But I go into the Stop & Shop restroom, and I'm using the urinal. And there's an older man who comes in and uses the urinal next to me.
I'm having visuals.
I know.
Why are you envisioning? What are you envisioning while I'm using the urinal?
I don't really know. Sure. Listen, there's a couch. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's been a long vacation for Chrissy. So I'm using the urinal. The man next to me is using it. Then he goes and he starts washing his hands. So he's washing his hands.
At least he's washing his hands.
Right. And he's washing his hands as I'm finishing up. And then he looks at me and he says, now that we got this damn coronavirus, it takes me longer to wash my hands than it takes me to take a leak. And I was like, how long were you washing your hands for before? The happy birthday rule has always been the rule.
I've heard ABC rule.
Same thing. It's the same song. But I was like, it's always been the rule. What were you doing before? Like, that just shows you how gross people are. That, like, to be honest, he probably wasn't washing his hands at all.
I've got a meme while we were sitting here from my best friend that says, since everyone has started washing their hands like we're supposed to, we'll be working on shapes and colors next week.
That's pretty good. I have to say, it's terrible that this has to happen, that we have to go through something like this, but if it makes some pretty good changes in society, like we'll start covering our mouths again when we cough or sneeze.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, or, we'll make sure that we don't expectorate everywhere, although I'm a big spitter. Mm-hmm. I have to admit, I'm a parking lot spitter.
Why?
It's just habit for you.
You just have to spit sometimes. Sometimes you just got to hop
only
on
in
up
parking
and
lots?
It. Well, where else am I going to spit? I'm not going to do it inside the building. That's gross.
No, but like out a window, random times, or do you only have to spit in a parking lot?
I'm just saying, like, if I'm going into a place, I spit before I go in.
Okay.
He's going to keep a journal now of every place that he takes.
No, just trying to make you think about it. That's all.
But I spit in the parking lot before I go into the building, not in the building.
Well, that's good. Perfect.
Or if I spit in the building, I spit in the toilet. Not in the sink, in the toilet.
Well, thank you for that.
This is very serious.
So anyway, So yeah, so telling coronavirus stories. So the other thing is that when I went into Home Depot. So I'm walking around, I'm watching all these people, and because I was on the phone, I was talking to somebody on the phone. So like as I'm kind of just wandering around talking, because you can't. I didn't have a Bluetooth or anything. You can't. Everything in Home Depot requires both hands. So, most of the time when you're buying stuff, you're like, oh, I need this. Oh, and I need this. So you need both hands. So I'm just walking around on the phone until I'm ready to do my shopping and watching all these people. And I noticed when I walked in, there was an older lady who walked in front of me, and she's got her carriage. She's all ready to fill this thing up, I can tell. And she says to the employee when she walks in, "Can you tell me where the toilet paper is?" And the lady goes, the lady that works there goes, we haven't had toilet paper since like Tuesday. And she's like, well, when are you going to get more in? She's like, I don't know. And so they're like going back and forth about it. So I'm like, okay, they don't have toilet paper here, so I don't even need to bother to look. I still got like 15 rolls in my house. I'm fine. But still, because here's the thing. There'll be trucks delivering toilet paper next week. Mm-hmm. But anyway, everybody's like getting all worked up about it. So I'm walking around.
I'm dying, I said.
And as I'm walking around, I notice everybody in the store is carrying paper towels. So I'm like, wait a minute. Are you going to try to replace toilet paper with paper towels? Do you not care about your septic system?
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw the pictures of people cutting their paper towels in half. I'm like, do you have the number to your local plumber right next to the toilet?
The Honey Wagon guys are loving this idea. They're like, oh, yeah, you're going to screw up your whole system. I'm going to make $1 million off of you guys. But that's the thing. It's like they think that it's an easy answer to the problem. And no, it's not. Everybody knows the easy answer is Kleenex.
Well, yeah, that's the closest relation to toilet paper.
You just got to double up.
Yeah.
But the...
use the aloe.
There's I don't know. One last thing. There's another option that we'll talk about in a few moments. But I'm just gonna wait for Stephanie to finish coughing up a lung. And also while I was in the store, I had to use the restroom, so I went into the restroom. It's because I'm drinking so much water, so I'm constantly having to use the restroom. So I go over there and I said, let me just check and see how much toilet paper they have in the men's room of Home Depot. Because let me tell you, if you're not a public pooper, you might not realize that the Home Depot men's room is probably the most used men's room for number 2 than any other store. Because every guy that goes into Home Depot, you see you coughed right as I put your microphone back up. Every guy that goes into Home Depot stops in there and does it. Because they're usually out working, doing a job, and they come in and they grab something and they're like, oh, while I'm here, let me use the restroom. So I checked. They're all full of, those giant rolls of toilet paper that they put inside those machines. So I came up with a genius idea. I have 15 rolls at my house. I'm going to save those, and I'm only going to poop in public until they start closing down the stores. That's my plan.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Aside from my other plan, which is to get the bidet attachment, which we'll get into in a minute. But let's clear these calls out.
Clear them out so you can have your conversation.
Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast.
Chicken brother, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Lamone? Lamone, I'm not marrying Mike Tyson's daughter.
You should show the picture. The picture would have been filled it. I think Stephanie would have got a chuckle. And I think Matt, no, too bad he's not there. He'll get it. Let him see it next week. I think it'll be kind of.
I legally can't show the video on the webcams. Not that there's anything wrong with the photo. It's perfectly fine. It's just Mike Tyson and his daughter. But I can't take a licensed photo and put it on the screen. They'll flag the video.
Okay, well you can show Stephanie. Stephanie's fine. So what did you think?
I showed Stephanie.
I asked if she was ugly.
And doesn't she look like her dad? I wonder who does the makeup better. Who can do the makeup better? I was thinking if Tim and her were to get together, then you guys could do each other's hair and stuff like that. Oh, be like sisters. So I'll just stuff like that. And hello, au revoir, Christine. Bonjour.
Hello.
Hello, hi. I'd like to start some fun things. I'd like to do something very serious. Okay. Tomorrow is the 60th anniversary from the last time King Kong was shown in theaters. So there's usually going to be one showing of it tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I don't know where you guys live, what part of the country they're. And it's not at all theaters. They're at like Fathom theaters, the Fathom Film. So it's something I think that everybody should get a chance to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember. Go on.
I was going to say it's really like a real classic of filmmaking too, because it brought in all kinds of new techniques of stop motion. So it's a classic.
Exactly, and plus you got to get ready for November 4th because Godzilla versus King Kong is coming up in. Well, shit, Universal Studios taking it to the limit.
Oh, is that going to be? Is that the third part of this new Godzilla trilogy?
Well, yeah, because remember how they had Kong was this last. Remember?
Oh,
Kong
that's part. It's all part of the same universe.
Yeah, they're all part of the same universe. You see, like if you saw the King Kong, but in the Godzilla thing, you see pictures of Kong as drawings in that little cave where they're at. Oh, I don't want to share so much with it, but everyone should look at that. I think that'd be kind of good. And this is something else I wanted. All right. So as I know the reason why they're doing this about the coronavirus thing. Okay, they had something was going. The government, Donald Trump knows about this and knew about this, and it was somewhat of a terror attack from that. And they were told that like any kind of public thing you have going on till the 4th of July, you're going to be at risk of getting everybody infected. So that's why they were doing that. And instead of like why not play the game without the fans and like NBA was going to do.
Right.
So they decided not to do that because of that. That's what they did. And a lot of people don't realize that. And maybe Donald Trump will talk about it after he gets out of office, if he's voted out of office. But I think that would be something. And the thing about it is this coronavirus is just part of something else, and it's all to literally weaken our defenses. So when these other things come, like 2 years from now, and there's going to be another. I think it'll be 3 parts that's coming. This like 2 years from now, and another one like maybe 2028, something like that. Around that time, that's going to do something. It's going to wipe all of us out, all of us, our immunities and everything like that.
So you think there's another virus coming in the future?
Oh yeah, 2 years, 2022. That's going to be. I think that's the next one. And this is all part of it. This is part of them trying to break our down. Not to mention how the financial things, like here in Las Vegas. We talk about the financial thing first. They're just because of the tournament that. The March Madness, they're losing in between $500 million to $1.6 billion that they're not going. The missed revenue they're not going to have. And out here, there's a lot of people that are being laid off because there's no need for a lot of people to come to work, and there's not a lot of people gambling in there. It's like a sports book. And in town, they've closed out of buffets and a lot of clubs, after-hour clubs, stuff like that. But it's like buffets. That's something everybody. That people hit that right there. They've got those extra spit guards and stuff like that, really longer ones. I think they should have everybody put like what I do when I go to a buffet, which I go often, you can tell. But I'll get a napkin or whatever, or the glove plastic, and I'll hold the thongs myself and won't even touch the thongs without having something between them. I'm not trying to get anybody else.
No, that's probably a good idea too.
Yeah, and it's like I think that's horrible. Like I said, I like to get my grub on like a mug. And it's like, I don't know what, I know why, because nobody's coming there. And all the laying off all these people, and all this part is causing financial problems for the United States. We're starting a recession, and that's like, with all this money that's missed out doing these things, all these individuals that aren't working, and they're losing all the family members that aren't working at their jobs, the stadiums and whatnot. And let me tell you one thing. There wasn't any black people that came down with the coronavirus in the world until these 2 black people. Now, this is oxymoron, okay? 2 black people that played for Utah Jazz. Black people and Utah don't really go together. And so, Rudy Gobert and, what's his name, Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 black guys. So that's kind of crazy. 2 black guys in Utah. This must be the last days.
All right,
Utah.
We'll leave it at that, Lamone. We got some other calls built up.
All right, thank you, everybody. You guys all have a wonderful.
You too.
Good night.
Bye, Lamone.
Bye, Stephanie. Like I said, I hope and see you soon, Christine. I don't know, Christine, but maybe I will.
Maybe.
Make sure Matt sees that picture.
All right, I will.
He deserves it.
Okay.
You kids take care. And all my love to the South Coast gang on the out there. Play on players.
See you later.
God bless you.
Have a good night. All right, let's go right to our next call. Good evening. You're next on Spooky South Coast.
Good evening, Tim.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Good. I was going to give you an update, but every time I give you a definite date, it doesn't come through like it was supposed to be yesterday or today. So what I'd like to comment on first is the Oliver House you were talking about earlier in the show.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds very interesting, and I'll bet you I used to pass by that every day. I used to work at the auto auction in Dighton, and my second job was Chatham Village Croutons, and I used to take 44 down that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably went by hundreds of times and never even.
You would never, you would never know it's there. There's so many trees around it, and even the driveway itself to pull up is pretty hidden. What's it, Plymouth Road? Is that the road that it's called? That's on. I forget the actual name of the road, but when you go down the road, it's right across from the KOA entrance, but you would never see it unless you were looking for it. Now they've put a sign out there to at least let people know that it's the Peter Oliver estate. But driving by from 44, you would have no idea that it's even there. So I'm just going to keep that down. You just let me know when you want to talk, and I'll pull it up. I understand.
Is it for sale?
It is not. It's owned by the town of Middleborough.
Okay, because that would be something I'd invest in and keep it as is.
I mean, they would love to take some donations if you want to make some donations.
Well, that could be. And getting back to my situation, I won't give you a definite date, but it'll be sometime this coming week. Because if I give a definite date, I usually get jinxed.
I mean, not to mention too, there's all kinds of other stuff going on right now, so that could hold things up, and you never know.
Well, it's. I don't think that's going to hold it up, but like all this baloney with with this virus, what a joke.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you get the money and you get the cars, use some Lysol wipes to clean it all off before you.
Yep.
Oh, no kidding. That's why I was surprised that they. Now you remember when they had what was it? The swine flu? Was it 2009?
Yep. I don't know if it was 2009, but I remember.
I was a custodian at the Ford Middle School in Acushnet. We didn't close the school. What we did at night, the custodians would wipe down all the desks and chairs with the Lysol wipes, and the maintenance supervisor came in at 6 in the morning, and he would do the cafeteria tables because they served breakfast at 7. And we didn't have a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they feel this one's a little bit different because I guess it stays on.
It's a bigger strain, I guess, a stronger.
And it stays on
strain.
surfaces longer, so that's the biggest problem is how long it'll stay on a surface, and even if you disinfect the surface, but then somebody puts it back on the surface, it's not like other.
They say it's good for something like 3 days on the surface.
Yeah, and there's no extra layer of protection where sometimes if you Lysoled it down, anything that hits it after Lysol has been on the surface will kill what goes onto it, and this won't do that. So that's part of the issue. But yeah, no, I was, things have been changing so fast that, the reporter came back from the press conference yesterday. They said they weren't closing the schools down. By the time she came back here and wrote the whole story and we got it posted up on our website, by that point they'd already made the decision to close the schools. So just things are changing by the minute.
Everything changes so much, and I can't believe that people are hoarding stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Well, I was going to say, if it gets any worse, Mark, we're going to need you to buy us toilet paper.
The way it looks to me is like everybody is going to the extreme.
Extreme? People are drinking bleach.
Well, wash your hands with soap and water, and keep your distance, and what do they say now? Fist pump or elbow, whatever.
Right.
Is good enough. But I heard something on the news that somebody came out with, I don't know what store it was, 22 containers of the hand sanitizer. And that's the worst stuff you can use because it not only takes off the bad bacteria, it takes off the good.
Well, and
they tell you soap and water is the best.
One of the issues that'll happen with that hand sanitizer, too, is because there's alcohol in it, it'll dry out and crack your skin, and then that makes you more susceptible to having germs get into your skin and into your bloodstream. So you have to, if you're going to use it, you have to be responsible about how you use it. It can't be, and there's people who outside of, an outbreak like this, they're constantly using it anyway. They use it as if it was hand lotion, and
it's
you're not
just
helping
like,
yourself.
It's just like the flu shots. Now, when I was working as a custodian, they would say to me, "Oh yeah, go get your flu shot; it's free," and I never once took one.
Yep.
And when I was so glad that I didn't, I think it was one school in Providence or Cranston where one of the vials broke. They had to have a hazmat team come in and clean it up because there was mercury in it. There was all kinds of stuff in it. So I don't even touch flu shots.
I don't blame you. I don't either. All right. Well, thank you for the call. We're going to try and get to the next one before we run out of time.
Have a good night, Tim. We'll be talking.
You as well. Chris, do you get a flu shot?
No.
But you see people come in and get them all the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I promote them to get it, but I personally don't get one.
I don't see the need to put the flu in my body already. Like,
nope. Or the formaldehyde or
also, when I get the flu, I just have the flu. It's not that big of a deal.
I've only had it once my entire life.
I've always let my body fight its own, build up its own.
That's what I do too.
Tolerance to everything. I know that if I know after so many years, I'm going to get hit with a bad cold. Or when I moved, I knew as soon as I moved, I'd be there a couple weeks and I'd get hit with some type of cold. And I did. But I've always let my body build itself up, and
that's the way I've always looked at it. I try to never take medications. Of course, we talked about what I've taken now, but generally, I've never taken cold medicine or anything like that, because if you don't, you'll just learn to fight. And all you're treating with that anyway is the symptoms, So if you can get through the symptoms, you're better off learning to fight it yourself. So, I know it's not great for you for business to say things like that, but
like I said, I still promote people to get them, but it's their choice. I believe, it's my choice not to get one.
By the way, not that I'm an anti-vaxxer. I don't want anybody to get that idea.
No.
Vaccinations are necessary.
Yes. But I just, I know my body and I know what I want to put into it. So
if the flu shot was a true vaccine that could prevent all strains of the flu, I would take it. But whereas, the flu that I'm going to get is going to be different than the flu I got a shot for, that's just the way it's going to work out, then I don't see the need to actually put the flu in my body or all those other things that are involved in it.
Right.
So, all right, let's take our next call. Good evening. You're next on Spooky South Coast.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. You were talking about the flu shots and all that, and the old haunted houses. There was the so-called haunted houses across the street from Lincoln Park. You remember that?
Across from Lincoln Park? I don't know.
Yeah, just before you go into Fall River, near
the one by White's.
You know the restaurant that's out there?
Yeah, the house that was by White's of Westport.
Yeah.
So we get this call a lot. We get this brought up to us a lot. So I did some research into that for a book that I wrote called Ghosts of the South Coast, and what it was this house that was sitting there abandoned. It was a former residence that was purchased by a funeral home. And the funeral home was using it to store all their extra coffins, all their extra caskets and stuff like that. So people were looking into the windows and seeing caskets and freaking out and all that kind of stuff, which is where the legend came from. But then I've heard stories from other people, especially police officers from Westport, that would say that they would, get calls there because it was alarmed. The alarm would go off on its own. They'd get there, nobody was around. They'd see things in the windows when they went to go check it out. So, in some circles, people try to debunk that and say, oh, that house wasn't haunted. But then there's other people that say, no, I've been there and I've had experiences. So either way, it's torn down now. So.
Yeah. And another thing, when I was younger, I lived on a farm. And we used to go with the cows, the trough there. And we used to use the Sears Roebuck catalogs. Pages.
Wait, for what?
Come on now. You don't know
toilet
what you're talking
paper.
about? Ripping off a paper.
Okay, all right. I was thinking of something else.
No, but that's what they used to use. Because they didn't have toilet paper at the time years ago.
I'm surprised people aren't even talking about leaves. When you're a camper, that's one of the things you would take a tree leaf and use.
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
I would like to say that I am very high maintenance and I prefer Charmin Ultra Strong.
And, when I was in the service, I took a shot for something. And, I broke out with a rash and everything. My hands swelled up and everything turned red. It was penicillin.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm allergic to penicillin.
Yeah, I can't take amoxicillin. So
Yeah, but,
which is a version of penicillin, but
and they
I can
had to
take
give me
others.
another shot of something else. But my fingers swelled up. They turned all red. My whole body, my face and all. Some people are allergic to penicillin.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, buddy.
All right.
Have
Well,
a nice
thank you for the call. Take care.
Bye now.
And yeah, that's not uncommon. There are people who are allergic to penicillin.
Mm-hmm. I thought you were gonna say the Sears catalog.
I know. I thought he was going with.
I think I just like zoned out there for a second because he was talking about having cows, and then he's like, we use the Sears catalog. I'm like, so
for what?
Yeah, your choice was to either use the cow or the Sears catalog. Like, what are you doing? Because there's something else you could go
now
off.
I'm having more visuals.
There's something else you could go off on the field and the farm and use a Sears
Next
catalog
call.
for.
We gotta move on.
I already know who the next call
who it
is.
is too, but we need a little bit of sanity back in this. I'm
You-
not sure.
But you won't, because when I take that call, it's only going to keep going
I know,
with what I was
but
just talking about.
I'm used to that. I'm not used to the Sears catalog.
So I know tonight is very not paranormal, and I apologize for that. But I think people. This is a topic that people want to discuss because they're a little bit. Although only part of these calls have been on topic. That's all right. We're having some fun. We need this. We need this after this week.
Right?
We definitely do.
Like, it has been a very stressful week.
In my life, I can never remember things closing down like this, except for the blizzard of '76. I think that's the only time that
I wasn't born yet.
Whatever.
I missed it by 12 years.
I was little, but I still remember that you couldn't go anywhere. But this, I don't ever remember having sports
when the
shut
NBA
down.
canceled the season. That's when I was like, because before that I was like, it's not as bad as everybody says. When the NBA canceled the season, I was like, postponed the season. I was like, yep, okay, now things are serious.
Yeah.
And then watching SmackDown last night in an empty building, and like everything is just strange and weird. But it's been so much like nonstop news, and I've been here. I worked 14 hours on Wednesday, 12 hours on, just putting out all these news stories and everything. I haven't even gone and I haven't made Midnight in the Desert videos to promote the night's episode, which is too bad because on Thursday night I had a really, really great, every show has been very good this week, but Thursday night was really fun because I interviewed a guy whose job it is to take care of a frozen dead guy.
Yeah, I saw that.
He goes like every 2 weeks and he packs this dead guy who's frozen in ice with new dry ice to keep him below 110 degrees.
But why?
Because the family pays him to do it.
That's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they just remove him?
They seem to think that someday they'll be able to resurrect him and give him a new heart and bring him back to life.
Shut up.
So they froze him when he died, and this was in 1989, and they've kept him frozen ever since. He's in a tough shed. Like a tough shed, like you can order for your backyard. He's in a tough shed in a town in the mountains of Colorado.
Oh my God.
And so this guy, Brad Wickham, treks up every 2 weeks to repack him with new dry ice. And once a year, the town where this shed is located has a festival called the Frozen Dead Guy Days, where everybody comes and they dress as the frozen dead guy, and they have what they call the blue ball, where everybody's like, dressed as if they're frozen, and they have music. But what's funny is they said they bring in national acts. They've never had Vanilla Ice or Iced Tea or Ice Cube.
Oh my God.
You would think that'd be a natural.
Wow. Okay. All right.
He went there, and I have to make a correction. It was a blizzard of '78. Sorry, I was thinking of my sister's birthday. For some reason, it popped into my head.
I'm plugging in this computer. Hang on. So I will start making those videos again, but of course you can just subscribe to midnightinthedesert.com, and we're gonna have to have Stephanie back on soon when she can stay up for 3 hours and
I can
talk
do
in the
it.
middle of the night. We had a medium on last night, a psychic on last night by the name of Vincent Jenna.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were going to be talking facts about Friday the 13th, but it took a turn.
Yep.
And he started really talking about like positivity in people's lives and negativity and all that stuff. It was a very fascinating conversation, but very, very boisterous guy. I think you would love him.
Okay.
I'll have to introduce you to him. He's, what's that college in England where you can study mediumship?
Arthur Finlay.
Yeah, he went there. So I think.
Like I could go and take classes right now. It's not like a 4-year college.
Right.
But yeah.
But I think you guys would have a lot to talk about. So yeah, there's one other thing that we wanted to discuss tonight because this came up on Facebook the other day, and I don't think people understand that we live in an area where this is not uncommon. As all of this stuff is coming out about people not being able to find toilet paper, not knowing what they're going to do if they don't have toilet paper. By the way, you still have a shower. Like, worst case scenario is just do your business and then jump in the shower and hose off.
Right.
Like,
Or
come
go
on.
out in the yard and blast yourself with a garden hose.
Or rub your ass across the carpet like a dog.
Oh my God.
I yell at my dog like, we have plenty of toilet paper. Don't do that.
We can say ass on the
Just
radio.
go wipe. Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can now.
Okay.
So no, yeah, we can. So anyway, the thing that popped up, it was Porter that posted it, right?
Yes.
Porter
And he
started
tagged
it
you.
all.
So he posts about this bidet attachment that you can attach to your toilet.
Mm-hmm.
That first of all, I didn't know this existed. And he tagged me in it. And as soon as I saw it, I said, I actually need one of those because I've always wanted a bidet. First of all, fancy people have bidets outside of this area.
This is one of those conversations that have happened many times, and I think to myself, I am squeezed in a weird sandwich between my boyfriend and my best friend.
But usually these conversations don't happen in front of everybody else on social media.
No.
They just happen in front of you in the car.
Right. But here we are.
So, he was...
Like, world, welcome to my life.
He was kind of interested in this idea of this bidet, and I looked at it and I said, I'll get one of those. I didn't know they had these. Like $30, I'm down. I'm totally going to buy one of these. And you just hook it up to the water tank, to the water line in your tank, and it has an adjustable
Yes, there's
nozzle.
options. There's options.
And you can blast yourself clean.
I literally just texted him because he sent me a screenshot that says his is being delivered on Monday. And I said, you need to FaceTime me for the first time that you use it because I need to see how this goes.
When he's actually using it, or
need
when
to
he's
know.
showing
Need to see his face.
So you want to see him as he's sitting there on the can, done with his business, and he says, all right, now it's time.
I just want to see how ridiculous it's going to be because I'm not going to be there to hear him scream.
I almost think like that needs to be a Facebook Live for everybody to see.
Let's pull him in and see what he says.
Like just shoot it from the face up. I think Porter, if you just shot it from the face up, and you didn't show the nether regions, I think that would be a perfectly fine Facebook Live video. Oh, I didn't. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Now he's in with us. And by the way, hitting the wrong button is also something you don't want to do with a bidet attachment.
This is true. This is true. I mean, I think TikTok would go crazy if we TikToked it out there,
Whatever you need to do to get it out there, I think people are going to want to see this. But I don't know if you're aware of this or if you were aware of this till we mentioned it in the thread, but like most of the houses around here have bidets, or the older houses.
I mean, I think that's why everybody's so friendly when I come up there.
Yeah, we are very clean people. You can shake the hand of a person here even during coronavirus time because we have bidets.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's it's a clean thing. Now, what's funny I'd always looked at these things and thought, oh my gosh, what in the world? And then my cousin and her husband, they had one gifted to them when they built their house. And so they installed it. And you have to know my cousin's husband. He's probably one of the most country sounding hillbilly guys that there is. And he's like, man, I'm going to tell you what, once you go bidet, you'll never go back. I mean, he loves it. And I'm like, it's like a car wash for your bunghole.
Oh, God.
And the funny part about it is there's people that are seeing this and being like, oh, well, I just made my own with a dishwasher sprayer and a hose. Like, wait, first of all.
That's the redneck version.
Yeah, first of all.
We were corrected on that.
Right.
But then you're getting poop particulate all over your hand. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you still have to angle it and get yourself in there. This bidet attachment is perfectly lined up so to get you right where it needs to get you. And it's self-cleaning, so you don't have to clean it off. It'll clean itself after you use it.
You did your homework.
I watched a video.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's got these retractable rods. You just hope they don't go crazy and shoot out the wrong way. But they're there, and they come out and they clean you up and go away. But now you guys enlightened me to something here just a few minutes ago.
We did.
Oh, boy.
That the bidet is not the stop-all, end-all for cleaning under the hood.
No, you still need to use something else because you can't depend. The analogy I use is you can't always count on spraying off what's stuck to your car when you go through the car wash. So sometimes you got to do a little
but
scraping.
It's not fresh when you go through the car wash.
But I'm not going to sit there and let it dry like bird poop on my hood of my car.
Yeah, but I still think that there's probably there's probably some aspects of it. Literally some aspects that you're going to need to use the toilet paper to get to.
Well, if you don't use toilet paper, I would imagine there'd be aspects everywhere.
Right. That's why you need to use the toilet paper first. Then you can do the little blast. And
I kind of feel like they should go a step further and allow some soap to be blasted first.
I would have thought
no, because then you're getting soap in your toilet water and all the guns. Then the dog is gonna get sick when he drinks
No, my
out of
dog
it.
doesn't drink out of the toilet.
Oh, my dog does.
If you flush, it's fine.
Well, so Tim, did you get one of these? Did you buy one?
I have not yet because I want to go to Walmart and buy one myself. This is one of those things where I don't feel like I can order it online. And
well, you can't try before you buy.
No, I'm not, but I want to see it, and I want to get an idea of like the hand distance, like how far do I have to reach over to press the trigger? Like I want to make sure that I can understand
Can I go
the
shopping
comfort
with you when you
level
do
of it.
this?
And I want to make sure I get the right toilet seat to replace
It may
mine.
have to be a Facebook
so,
Live.
because I'm just going to start with everything brand new, right? What's the point of having a
All the
brand new bidet
diagrams.
attachment and an old toilet seat?
Well, yeah. I mean, like all the diagrams I saw, that they fit, just under, no matter if it's an oval or if it's a round. So, you're all good there. But now, what I learned while I was buying mine, was that this thing, it does not require electricity. It's what they call a mechanical bidet.
Yes.
But they have these others that actually have a warm seat, and they have warm water, and then they have a fresh blast of air to dry everything off when you're done. And I feel kind of robbed now that I went with the cheap version.
Well, I mean, start with the cheap version and make sure that it doesn't, make you feel oddly unmanly to use. And, you might sit there and be like, nope, this makes me feel like a little baby getting my butt cleaned.
Well,
and so I don't
true.
feel like this is for me. You might feel like, you might feel like the toilet's giving you that nice little baby wipe rub. So I would.
Well, I mean, here's the other fear too. Is like what happens if you get the one with the air blast and you have company over and you use it and you hit the air blast and it makes that noise.
See, that's the problem.
Like it blows air.
That's the problem is when people come over my house, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to detach it so that nobody else can use it.
Now see, that was another question.
Well, that's what I brought up.
Things, yeah, I mean, like you lock it in one room and nobody else can use it.
Because right now
personal.
You can't get any Clorox wipes, so you can't clean on the outside of where you sit just in case any aspects get anywhere.
Like anybody out there that's listening to the show that lives in a house that has a bidet, what would you say if a house guest came over and used your bidet? Wouldn't you? It just feels like a violation to me.
I've only known of bidets being put into like the master suites. Like
right.
It's the it's not the general bathroom in the house.
And it's not a. I mean, now they have toilets with bidets built in, but generally when they had bidets before, they had the toilet and then next to it was the bidet, which always made me wonder about the shuffle. Like,
because it's a thing.
That's where you get
Do
the
you
aspects
drip
again.
in between? Like, what happens? I remember my first aspect, my first experience with a bidet. I walked into my friend's house, and they were, very, I think they were Cape Verdean or Portuguese, I can't remember. And it's very common in this area. And I walked in, I was like, why do you have two toilets? And she was like, oh, no, that's a bidet. So I was like, really? What does it do? She's like, oh, just turn it on. So I went to turn it on, not knowing what's happening. And I just turned the handle, and it shot straight up 5 feet into the air, and I was horrified.
The first
I was like,
time
that goes where?
I was at a birthday party, and I walked in, and I was like, I really appreciate you having a water bubbler right in your bathroom.
Oh my god!
Because I was thirsty.
Oh my gosh,
that's disgusting.
what I may do is I may take this thing and put it on, in the hall bathroom, the powder room, the community bathroom, so that when people come over, maybe they'll reach down while they're trying to flush the toilet when they get up, and they'll hit the wrong button, and it'll just jump out and squirt right up
but
in the face.
You got to clean it.
Yeah, but I think that would be worth the laugh.
I don't know. It's only worth it if you have a secret camera. Like you just got punked. Candid
I've
camera.
got a few secret cameras. I've got cameras I can hide. I do have those. They're infrared too.
From now on, when I stay in a hotel and they screw up my reservation and they're like, "How can we make it up to you?" I'm going to say, "Do you have a room with a heated bidet?"
Some places do.
Please put me in the bidet suite.
The bidet suite.
I'm surprised that your cabin on the cruise didn't have a heated bidet.
I know.
I
should
am
complain.
Too, actually. I'm very surprised. Yeah, I think
well,
we should have.
now
We had everything else.
You want to get that suite again? They'll sell it to you right now at $30.
Yeah, I'll never go on a cruise ever again.
Well, you can't right now. They're shutting all the cruises down.
Right.
So. Yep. All right. Well, we're just about out of time, but
thanks for the poop talk.
Just wait for the review in part 2.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Are you both doing reviews, and are they both going to be video?
I need a video. I need a FaceTime.
Listen, be careful how much you put this out on social media. We don't want people to start calling you Porter Potty.
Oh, God,
Hey,
he went there.
Listen, that's okay. They've done that my entire life, but right now what I can do is I can look at them and say, hey, you don't have toilet paper, but I've got a bidet. So, up yours.
People always called me wise ass. Now I can be like, well, now you can call me wipes ass.
Oh, my God. Wipes ass and Porter Potty.
There we go.
Come join us in Virginia next weekend.
That's our new podcast. Download it now wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, my gosh. Your podcast.
All right. Oh, there you go. All right. That'll do it for tonight. Thank you, Porter, for joining us. And
thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Definitely let us know how it works out.
We'll do it.
All right. Take care. And everybody out there, you know what? We've already gone over a minute. Should we take this one last call?
Sure.
Let's take
I'm
this
scared,
one last
but
call.
let's try it.
Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast.
Hi, I just wanted to say if you run out of toilet paper, we could always use our CVS receipts.
Yes.
I saw the joke going around. There was like a meme going around about that, and I went to CVS that night because I wanted to grab deodorant, and I was like, I don't want to go into Walmart and deal with this just to get deodorant. And I walked in and I got a normal sized receipt out of CVS.
I've never.
The toilet paper shortage is so bad now. They're giving us less CVS receipts.
But did you have your card? Because I think it's when you have your card.
Yeah,
I did. I always use my card.
Wow.
Yeah. No.
The rewards.
You've been limited.
I think they're cutting back on those CVS receipts too. Like people are even hoarding that too.
Oh,
so
gosh. Okay, thanks.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
I was worried it was going to be somebody telling us, I can't believe we're talking about poop all right here.
Right. Hey, you know what? You all laughed.
Right.
You're welcome.
We all do it. As the book says, everybody poops. All right. That'll do it for tonight. I hope this show wasn't poop. I hope people like it when they listen to it later. That'll do it for tonight. Again, if you are, somebody out there who is concerned about everything that's going on, please don't take anything that we've talked about tonight as being actual medical information. No. Chrissy knows a little bit about what she's talking about, but she's on the pharmacy side. If you feel like you're not feeling well, if you think that you have some signs of possible infection, whether it be coronavirus or anything else, please see a doctor and make sure that you keep yourself home. Don't put yourself out in the public. They're actually telling everybody that can, even the hourly employees, they're talking about, President Trump was talking and Vice President Pence were talking about this weekend about, finding relief even for the hourly workers to make sure that they can stay home. So just err on the side of caution. Don't wash hands. Don't shake hands.
Don't hug. Don't shake hands. If you have a fever or a cough.
Wash frequently. And we will get through this fine. But we wish you all the best out there. Until next week, for Matt, for Stephanie, for Chrissy, I'm Tim. We want you all to stay spooktacular.